Hey guys, Dan Greer, Eclipse DOT. Today we're going to go over an in-cab inspection for a CDL test, okay? So this is probably one of the most important parts of the CDL test in general. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start with our inspection. What I like to do is I like to start on one side and work my way to the other. So I check my mirrors. My mirrors are properly adjusted. They're clean. My glass, no cracks, no pits bigger than a quarter. It all looks to be in good condition. From there, I go ahead and move down to my gauges, all right? So I've already done a safe start. I've pressed my foot on the clutch, pressed the other foot on the brake, started the truck, and then made sure that it wasn't gonna move. Release the clutch slowly. If it has a clutch, this is an automatic truck, so of course you don't have that clutch. After I've done my start, one of the things that I like to do first is jump in here and start looking at all my gauges. A few of the gauges that are really important are your engine oil pressure, all right, and your coolant temperature. We want to make sure that both of those are in normal operating ranges. We want to make sure that our tach works, okay, and we'll check our speedometer as we start to drive. The next things that we check are our air pressure gauges to make sure that we have plenty of air pressure and that we're building properly. And the last thing we check is voltage. Now this truck does not have a voltage meter, it is in the computer. A lot of newer vehicles are that way. If you're doing your test, make sure that you note that your voltage meter is in the truck, in the computer gauge. All right, so then the next thing I do is I like to check my windshield wipers and my washers. So I turn my wipers on and I turn my washers on to make sure that it goes, okay? All right. Now then, the next thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and check my heater and my defroster. So I turn it to heat, I turn it to defrost, and I feel to make sure that it's blowing. Then I turn it back down here and I make sure that it's blowing on the bottom, okay? That checks my heater and my defroster. Even in the middle of summer, we need to have a defroster, so we need to check that. Next thing we want to do is check our horns, city horn and air horn. Make sure that they both work good for you. Then I go into my indicators. I check my left turn, my right turn, my high beams, okay, and then I also want to check my four-way flashers. Depending on where your truck is, what your truck is, there could be four ways under the turn signal, or it might be a button on the dash. Okay, the way you cancel your four ways is kicking the blinker down and bringing it back up. All right, next thing we're going to do on the in-cab inspection is check our safety items. First thing, safety is seatbelt. We're going to make sure that our seatbelt's in good working condition. Make sure that it couples, it latches hard, it unlatches, there's no frays, no tears. Okay, we want to check our steering, make sure there's not much play in it, that it's working good. Keep going on with safety stuff. We're going to move on to our fire extinguisher. Our fire extinguisher is right here. It is mounted, it is secure, and it's in the green. Okay, those are the big things. Spare fuses. I have some spare fuses in here. Then the last thing we need to check is our three triangles. The three triangles in this truck are right here under this sleeper. You access them from the outside. Now make sure you do have three triangles, and they should be in that red box. All right. Last thing we've got to do here is going to be our air brake test. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to release our brakes. Make sure we're not going to roll. Our wheels are chalked, okay? Now then, after our brakes are released, we're going to go ahead and shut the truck off. Turn the key back on so I can see my gauges, and I'm going to hold my foot on the brake pedal for 1 minute. Now we should have a little bit of drop to begin with, and then Now we should have a little bit of drop to begin with. Now after that, our gauges shouldn't move more than 4 psi in a minute for a combination tractor trailer. Now for a straight truck, a class B, it shouldn't move more than 3 psi in a minute. This is called the applied brake test. Next thing we're going to do is fan our brakes. what we're looking for is our low air alarm to come on at 60 psi. There you go, just came on. Now we're going to go ahead and fan our brakes some more. Down around 30 psi, our valve should set. There you go, they just set. I'm going to go ahead and start the truck, let it build some more air. Alright, now in order to build air, we can rev the engine up to normal operating speed, so about 1500 RPMs, and we'll let it build from there. While we're doing this, one of the things that I like to look for when I turn my key back on is the ABS light. Make sure that it comes off and goes off. Comes on and goes off. And I also want to check my def gauge right here to make sure that I have enough diesel exhaust fluid, okay? There's a few more tests that we can do. As soon as our air pressure gets built up. There's a few more tests that we can do as soon as our air pressure gets built up. One of the things we're looking for on our air pressure is that it builds from 90 to 100 in less than 45 seconds. And so we're not quite at 90 yet, but we're going to start timing it here in just a minute as soon as it gets there. And the other thing we're looking for is that our air compressor cuts out at about 125 psi. Alright, so we hit 90. We're going to make sure that she builds to 100 in less than 45 seconds. Alright, she's at 100. Now then we're going to wait and listen for it to pop off. While we're waiting for it to pop off, we're going to go ahead and do our park brake test. And the way we do that is we're going to go ahead and release one brake, put the truck in drive. So what we did was we released the trailer brakes, we put the truck in drive. We're going to pull against it. Alright, we're not moving, that's good. Now we'll go ahead and release the trailer brakes. Set the trailer brakes, release the tractor brakes. We're going to pull against it again. First gear. Now we're checking our trailer brakes. They're working great. Go ahead and put it back in neutral. Now the last thing we want to do is release both brakes. This is called the service brake test. What we're going to do is roll forward, get about 5 miles an hour, and step on our brakes to make sure that the truck does stop and it doesn't pull from side to side. Okay, so we put the truck in drive. We're going to go ahead and pull forward, get up to about 5 miles an hour, and then we're going to go ahead and let on the brakes. The truck did not pull from side to side. Okay, go ahead and set our brakes back, put the truck in neutral. Now the next thing we're going to do is wait for that air to pop. Wait for our air compressor to kick off at 125 psi. We'll cut this part out, but we got to wait and see if we can hear it pop. A few of the things that I like to look for whenever we're going through the in-cab inspection is how the floor looks. Is the floor clean? Alright. How does my steering wheel feel? Is it in good condition? Okay, is it too loose? I like to make sure that there's nothing that's going to get under my feet or obscure my visibility. No stickers on the windshield either. One of the other things that you really need to check for on all commercial vehicles is how tinted the side windows are. If those side windows carry too much tint on them, you could get a ticket for it. All right, there you go. The air compressor just popped off at 125 PSI. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day.